The warm Caribbean sun beat down on the tarmac as the royal aircraft doors opened, revealing the beaming smiles of Prince William and his wife, Kate. It was March 2022, and the couple was embarking on what the palace had carefully crafted to be a grand celebration, a multi-country tour of Belize, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. The mission was clear: to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee, marking her incredible 70 years on the throne. For William and Kate, this was more than just a handshaking exercise. It was a chance to strengthen the bonds of the Commonwealth and remind these nations of their shared history with the British Crown. As they descended the steps, the couple radiated the polished charm that the world had come to expect. Kate had chosen her wardrobe with her usual meticulous care, a blend of vibrant colors and local designers, a silent signal of respect for the cultures they were about to encounter. William, and dressed in a sharp suit, stood tall, ready to act as his grandmother's emissary. The initial scenes were picture-perfect, exactly as the press releases had described. They were greeted by dignitaries, children offered them flowers, and the band played the national anthem. It looked to the casual observer like yet another successful royal tour. However, beneath the surface of this majestic arrival, a current of unrest was already beginning to stir, on a feeling that the warm welcome was merely a polite facade, hiding a deep-seated anger that was about to boil over. The first crack in the polished facade appeared almost immediately, not in Jamaica, but at their very first stop in Belize. The plan had been for William and Kate to visit a sustainable cocoa farm nestled in the foothills of the Maya Mountains, a wholesome visit that would highlight environmental causes close to William's heart. But the indigenous Quechua Maya community of Indian Creek had other ideas. The couple's advance team had planned for their helicopter to land on the village's football pitch, the community's central gathering place, without what the locals considered proper consultation. To the villagers, this was not a simple logistical oversight. It was a profound disrespect, an echo of colonial attitudes where decisions were made about their land without their consent. The football pitch was theirs, a symbol of community and youth, not a royal landing pad. Protests erupted almost instantly. Villagers, feeling the weight of historical land disputes with a conservation charity that William patronized, felt the visit was a direct insult. Dionisio Scholl, a village youth leader, voiced the community's frustration, stating that while they respected high-profile people, the organizers had no right to give commands to community leaders. Banners were unfurled with stark messages like, "Prince William, leave our land," a direct challenge to the narrative of unity the tour was trying to project. The situation escalated quickly, forcing Kensington Palace into an emergency retreat. With no other option, they canceled the visit. It was a humbling and public setback. For William and Kate, it was their first real taste that this tour would be different. The majestic arrival they had just experienced was already turning to confusion and disappointment. They were not walking into a series of celebratory events. They were walking into a political and emotional minefield, and the first explosive had already detonated before they had even truly begun. If Belize was the warning shot, Jamaica was the full-blown storm. The couple arrived in Kingston to an atmosphere thick with tension. This was not the Jamaica of tourist brochures. This was a nation in the middle of a serious conversation about its future. An advocacy group called the Advocates Network had published an open letter before the couple even landed, demanding a full apology from the royal family and reparations for the atrocities of slavery. The letter was blunt, stating that the Queen had done nothing to redress and atone for the suffering of our ancestors. As William and Kate stepped out, they were met not just by cheering crowds, but by the cold shoulder of political dissent. A video that would go viral showed Lisa Hanna, a senior opposition politician and former beauty queen, appearing to give Kate the cold shoulder during introductions. While they exchanged pleasantries, Hanna later made her position clear on social media, reaffirming her support for reparations and the country's move towards becoming a republic, free from the monarchy. Everywhere they turned, the imagery seemed to work against them. One of the most damaging photo ops of the entire tour happened at a football pitch in Trench Town, the legendary birthplace of reggae. William, attempting to connect with the local youth, kicked a ball around with children from the community. But the photographs that circled the globe told a different story than the one of royal engagement. They showed the future King of England and his wife standing on one side of a chain-link fence, reaching their hands through the gaps to shake the hands of black children who stood on the other side. The image was jarring, evoking painful memories of segregation and division. Critics and royal watchers were aghast. Palki Sharma, a leading Indian broadcaster, famously labeled it a royal disaster tour, accusing the couple of being trapped in a Victorian-era delusion. The Majestic arrival was now a distant memory, now replaced by a growing sense of sorrow as the couple realized that their presence was not a cause for celebration, but a catalyst for a difficult, long-overdue conversation about empire and its legacy. The most humbling moment, however, was yet to come. It happened behind the closed doors of the Prime Minister's office, but its effects were felt around the world. Prime Minister Andrew Holness welcomed William and Kate, but he did not offer them the reassurance they might have hoped for. Instead, standing before the cameras with the royal couple as silent witnesses, he delivered a statement that was nothing short of a political earthquake. He spoke of unresolved issues and made it clear that Jamaica was moving on and intended to fulfill our true ambitions and destiny as an independent, developed, prosperous country. He did not explicitly say the words, "We are kicking you out," but the meaning was unmistakable. He was telling the future king, to his face, that Jamaica intended to remove his grandmother as its head of state. William and Kate stood in stony silence, their practiced smiles frozen, as the Prime Minister effectively used their presence to amplify his Republic agenda. It was a devastatingly effective piece of political theater. The message was clear: your visit has not swayed us, it has emboldened us. Following this public dressing down, William attempted to regain some control. At a dinner that evening, he delivered a speech that was carefully worded but powerful. He looked directly into the camera and condemned slavery, saying, "I want to express my profound sorrow. Slavery was abhorrent, and it should never have happened." It was the closest the British monarchy had come to a direct apology. Yet for the protesters outside and the advocates who had written the open letter, his words rang hollow. He had stopped short of a full apology and had made no mention of reparations. For them, and it was too little, too late. The sorrow of the moment was now shared. The couple looked increasingly isolated, their charm offensive in tatters. As the tour limped on to the Bahamas, the sense of disaster only deepened. The couple appeared visibly weary, the weight of the past few days etched on their faces. The itinerary, once a source of excitement, now felt like a chore. They visited projects, smiled for cameras, and waved to crowds, but the magic was gone. The criticism was now relentless. Our royal editor, Russell Myers, echoed the sentiments of many, calling the tour a disaster and questioning how William and Kate's team could have been so blind to the obvious landmines along their path. The final event in Jamaica, meant to be a grand finale, was described by one outlet as a deliriously bad photo call that awkwardly tried to evoke the colonial-era tours of the 1950s, only highlighting how out of touch the planning had been. By the time they boarded the plane to head home, and the mood was one of profound relief mixed with deep disappointment. The Majestic arrival had completely turned to sorrow, and the couple knew they had not just failed, but had perhaps accelerated the very breakup they were sent to prevent. Returning to London, William and Kate retreated to their residence in Kensington Palace to absorb the shockwaves of what had just happened. The tour was a defining moment, but not in the way they had hoped. For weeks, the blame game reportedly raged behind palace walls. with questions about who had planned such a tone-deaf itinerary. For Kate, the tour was a brutal introduction to the harsh realities of modern monarchy. She had joined the family hoping to serve, but here she had been a symbol of an institution many now openly reviled. The experience was so scarring that, according to some commentators, it fundamentally changed her approach to public life. She became far more cautious about international travel and deeply suspicious of Commonwealth tours. For years that followed, William and Kate focused their efforts at home, rebuilding their image and their confidence. They had learned a painful lesson, that a smile and a wave were no longer enough to heal the wounds of history. The sorrow of that Caribbean spring would stay with them, a humbling memory that reshaped their destiny and taught them that sometimes the most majestic arrivals can lead to the most devastating falls. The story, however, does not end in sorrow. In the years that followed the Caribbean tour, William and Kate underwent a profound transformation. They had been publicly humbled, and from that humility they grew. They listened more and spoke with more careful intention. They focused on genuine connection rather than royal pageantry. This newfound depth would prove essential when they faced their greatest personal challenge yet. In 2024, the world learned that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, had been diagnosed with cancer. The news sent shockwaves around the globe, and suddenly, the couple who had once been criticized for being distant became symbols of profound vulnerability and strength. In September 2024, after completing her chemotherapy, Kate released an intimate family video to share the news. It was a far cry from the formal photo calls of the Caribbean. The video showed William and Kate lying on a blanket in the sand, wrapped in each other's arms, their children playing nearby. It was raw, real, and deeply moving. In her voiceover, Kate spoke of being face-to-face with your own vulnerabilities and the importance of loving and being loved. Body language experts noted the unusual tactility between them, the hand on the leg and the head on the shoulder, gestures that spoke of a couple who had been through the fire and come out the other side more united than ever. William, who had once stood silently as a prime minister, told him he wasn't wanted, now stood as a fierce protector of his family. A body language expert recalled a moment at the 2022 Commonwealth Day service, just days before that fateful tour, when William had jumped into rescue mode to shield Kate from the rain with an umbrella. And the expert noted that by doing so, William happily lowers his own royal status to support her. That instinct to protect, to put his wife first, had only deepened during her illness. Royal author Katie Nicholl observed that the couple looked more united today than ever, their marriage built on friendship, love, and mutual respect after going to hell and back. The nation, which had watched their Caribbean struggles with a critical eye, had now watched their health battle with a collective holding of breath. When Kate revealed she was in remission in early 2025, the relief was palpable. The couple marked their 14th wedding anniversary with a visit to the Isles of Mull, where royal watchers noted the deliriously happy chemistry between them. Kate sent subtle messages of love through gentle touches and lingering glances, gestures that spoke louder than any official statement. They had entered a new era, a one defined not by the grandeur of royalty, but by the simple, powerful truth of their commitment to each other. The sorrow of the Caribbean had, in a strange way, prepared them for this. It had taught them that being royal was not about being admired, but about being human. And in their humanity, in their vulnerability, and in their enduring love, they finally moved the nation to tears.